Hey everybody. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of tinkering. I have a few projects I'm trying to wrap up and start. So this is a Rocky Mountain altitude that I just picked up yesterday. It's pretty epic. But we are going to use the chain rings to finish the Yeti. Because that's all the Yeti is really waiting on. I've been looking for some race face rings to go with the race face crank, but I couldn't find any that I liked. But these are QVP engagement rings, which I also find cool. I like the name, and they're the right BCD, so they're gonna work. I think the silver will work on the Yeti better than black, because it has a yellow crank set. So this thing's pretty filthy. The gentleman I got it from was using it as it was his mountain bike, his regular daily rider until 2 weeks ago when he picked himself up. I think he said an Orbea 29er for his first ever 29er. But he reached out to me and thought I'd be interested in this, which I totally am. As you can see, it has some cool parts: the synchros bar end, synchros bar, synchros seat post, race face crank. Gonna be building this one up probably in a later video, but I have some ideas. I'm thinking a red fork would really go with so it'd be like red, yellow, red, and maybe a red race face crank could look good. That might be too much red, I don't know. But yeah. So we're just gonna strip the rings off this quick. Well, we'll take the whole crank set off to take the rings off, because when I build this up, I know I'm not gonna use the black crank set. I just don't think it goes well with the bike, especially if I get rid of the black fork. Then there's not gonna be enough black, so it's gonna stand out, and I don't like that. So we're gonna take these cranks off. They're just square tapers. We'll get those off, and then we'll get the chain rings off, and then I'll pull out the Yeti, and we will put the chain rings on the Yeti, put a chain on the Yeti. I'll tune it and adjust it, and then I'll be able to take it for his main ride. So super exciting. So let me find my tools. So one very important step when removing crank arms is it's very important to make sure this part, the part that threads into the crank arm, is threaded in as far as it can go. If not, that's one of the reasons why you'll strip out threads, is if you don't have this threaded in all the way and then you go to tighten this to pull it out, it'll rip the threads off. So I hand tighten it so I don't strip it, and then just hit it with the wrench. Okay, those are gonna look good. Okay, got the crank off. So we're gonna remove these chain rings and clean them up. Looks like 34, 46, 34, 20. Here we got 1, 2, 120 and 24, so that should be perfect. I'm actually gonna go put this one back down and go grab the Yeti, and then we'll get the Yeti all tuned up and ready to go. Okay, so I need all the rings and the spacers to fit on this crank. So then this crank will be down spacers. I'm gonna have to track down spacers for this one, but I'll I'll put that in the worry about tomorrow list of problems, because I really want to get the Yeti done, and this seems to be the simple solution. When I got these yellow cranks, they didn't have the spacers. And then I found one set of spacers the other day for a crank that didn't have them, so I just need to track down one more set, but I'm pretty sure I have some somewhere. So I'm just gonna take all these off. Nothing too exciting, just did it in the last video. So I will get this finished and I'll be back when they're on the yellow one. Okay, so I removed the bottom bracket from the Yeti because it was too long, but it came out pretty rough. Actually, the non-drive side cup, as you can see, I don't know if you can really tell, but the threads are pretty mushed and flattened, which is worrisome. So we're gonna chase the threads with the part tool. So we got the cutters and the T-handle. Cutting fluid of any brand works good. I just have the part tool stuff. And mostly worried about the non-drive side, but we're going to do the drive side too while we're at it. Really important thing with these is that is left-hand threads, not the left side of the bike. Does that make sense? So this is for the drive side, which would be the right side of the bike, because it's left-handed thread. So you don't want to get confused with it saying left. It's left-handed threads. So that's just something to be mindful of if you have one of these. And also these cutting dies are expensive, so you don't want to drop them or anything. You want to make sure you store them somewhere safe, and then try to make sure you clean them out before you use them. So I'm just gonna get everything set up here quick. So I have threaded in by hand the right cup, aka the left-hand threads. I do it by hand if possible, so not to get anything in alignment weird. And then I'll slide the tool in. I'll have that rod to slide in on, so it should be centered for us. Yeah, perfect. Then a little cotton oil. So this is like tapping threads on anything. You're gonna go forward and backwards. Oh yeah, I can feel it. You always want to check too that the bottom bracket is not getting hot, because that would cause it to expand, which would affect the quality of threads you're cutting. I notice it more when I'm cutting threads into steer tubes. That process, because here these threads were already here and we're just cleaning them up. We're not doing as much removal, aka not as much work, so things don't get as hot. But when you're cutting new threads into a threaded fork, things can get hot pretty quick. Okay, got the Silver chain rings on, crank sets installed, got the shorter bottom bracket in, which went in good after chasing the threads. I like how it's looking. I need to throw a chain on, cut some cables, get it tuned, and then we need some pedals, leaning towards black pedals. I think will go good. And then I'm gonna be able to ride it. I leave on vacation on Thursday, so I'm hoping I can find some more free time to get cracking on this before then. But if not, I'll get it done when I come back. But I've had fun working on it today. It's been nice to finally get it back in the stand. So we're almost there. A little push here, and it should be done. Daisy, what you doing? So I'm working on the Yeti, and I changed the cassette, and it went freewheel. And when I took the cassette off, everything freewheels fine. And then it turns out that if you look right here, this spoke was put in wrong. So they go every other. And then we get to here. This one, it's the same way as this one and the same way as this one. So this spoke sticks out further than all the other spokes by enough that it rubs the back of the cassette. So we're going to take this spoke out and put it back in the right way. And then we shouldn't have that problem with the cassette. So I'm glad I changed the cassette, because without changing the cassette, I probably wouldn't have noticed that. So it's very exciting. I believe the Yeti is finally finished. I fixed a spoke on the rear wheel, so now no issues with the cassette. I got her all tuned and adjusted. She's shifting good. Cable ends on. Topped the tires up with air. Threw on some pedals. So I'm super excited to go give it a ride. It's late here now. I had to go run some errands, and now I'm back at the shop because I just wanted to finish this up. But here's kind of the full, quick tour. Celitalia flight. XTR rim brakes. XTR rear derailleur. Race face. Yellow crankset with QBP engagement rings. XTR front derailleur. I threw on the profile cages to see if I liked those. I think I'm leaning towards putting these ones back on, but I just wanted to see what I thought. I made a poll on Instagram too, and it seems like the majority of people also prefer the wire metal ones. Up here, yellow race face stem, Anza bar ends with the XTR remote shifter, servo wave brake levers, which are some of my favorite, XTR pod shifters, Yeti grips. For tires, I have specialized ground controls. And wheels are RMP, Sunringle RMPs with Ringle hubs, front and back. So yeah, I mean, it cleaned up. I'm really excited with how clean and nice I was able to get the chainstay. If you go back to part one, this was all black, covered in a, not really sure what it was, but I was able to get most of it off, and from a distance it looks great. So excited to give this thing a ride. But for now, it is going to go up in the window in the place of the KHS. See, there's the Dean. So the Dean has been, I got the ball needle so I could fill up the fork, but there's like a rubber sack, I guess, membrane that you push the needle through and you're supposed to fill it up, and when you pull the needle out it's supposed to be self-sealing. Not a good, I mean, obviously they only used it for a year, so it wasn't the best. So right away when I put the air in it, pulled the needle out, all the air came back out. So the fork is dead. But I like the fork, so I'm gonna leave the fork on, and I'm gonna figure out what I need to what I'll need to get to rebuild it. But the KHS is gonna come down, the Yeti's gonna go up. I only like to keep a bike for like a year in the window because I don't want anything to get faded. Now the shop does have a big awning, so we don't get, it's west facing and has a big awning, so it's not horrible, but I don't want anything to get faded. So KHS is gonna go home, Yeti's gonna come up here, but I am gonna take the Yeti out for a spin. Sorry, the counter's a disaster because I've been doing multiple projects, but yeah, so that is the Yeti. It is complete, and I'm excited to take it for a ride. Thanks for sticking around to see how it turned out. We have a lot more projects in the works. I'm gonna do something with the Rocky Mountain. I really like it. I want to keep it. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I think I want to do a red fork. I think that would go good. I'm leaning towards maybe a red race face crank. I'm really digging the colored race face cranks. As you can tell, yellow one on here, blue one on the Dean. I've been enjoying them, how they work on colored bikes. So we're gonna be doing that. We have a lot of good inventory coming to the shop. So if you're looking for things for your vintage build, make sure to check out the shop. I'll put a link below. And you can follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of our new product drops, I guess you call them, up on Instagram as we're getting new stuff in. And feel free to reach out if you're looking for something. We have a lot of inventory that it just takes time to get it listed. So it's here. So lots of fun stuff to come. You all have a great rest of your night. Bye.